Welcome back to our channel History Coins HD. As you that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln penny coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1, because we're about to talk about a coin that's small in size but massive in potential worth, the elusive, the mysterious, the highly sought after United States Lincoln penny from the year 1966. Yes, the humble 1-cent coin that most people wouldn't give a second look could actually be one of the most valuable coins you'll ever come across. So grab your magnifying glass, dust off that old coin jar, and settle in. This is one episode you don't want to miss, because by the end of this video, you'll find out why this 1-cent piece could be worth a life-changing amount of money. Let's rewind the clock to 1966. America was deep into the space race, the Beatles were topping the charts, and the Vietnam War dominated the headlines. It was a time of intense change, innovation, and uncertainty. Amid all this, the U.S. Mint was cranking out millions of coins every day. But among the billions of ordinary pennies that flowed into circulation, a few extraordinary coins slipped through the cracks, coins that were anything but ordinary. The 1966 Lincoln penny might seem like just another cent at first glance. It features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design that's been in use since 1909. On the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a structure that symbolizes American strength, unity, and resilience. It's a simple design, but beneath its surface lies a story of rare minting practices, hidden errors, and collector obsession. And now, you might be asking, what makes a 1966 penny special? After all, hundreds of millions were made, right? You're absolutely right. In fact, over 2.1 billion Lincoln cents were minted that year. But here's where things get interesting. In 1966, the U.S. Mint was in the middle of a transition period. Just a few years earlier, silver had been removed from circulating coins due to rising metal costs. And to deal with coin shortages, the Mint temporarily suspended the use of mint marks. That means whether your 1966 penny came from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, it doesn't show a mint mark, which adds a bit of mystery and confusion for collectors trying to trace a coin's origins. But it doesn't stop there. During this period of change and high production volume, the chances of errors increased dramatically. And error coins, especially from transitional years, are like gold to collectors. We're talking about double strikes, off-center strikes, and perhaps the most valuable of all, the struck on the wrong planchet error. Imagine this: a coin that's supposed to be a copper penny accidentally gets struck on a dime or nickel planchet. It's rare. It's weird. And it's incredibly valuable. Some 1966 pennies also show signs of being struck with worn dies or display what's known as die clashes, where the designs from the dies transfer onto the wrong side of the coin. These small imperfections might go unnoticed to the average person, but to collectors? They're everything. Now here's where the story gets even more exciting. Condition is king in the coin world. Most pennies from 1966 have been through decades of wear, tossed into vending machines, dropped on sidewalks, forgotten in junk drawers. But the rare few that have been preserved in perfect or near-perfect condition, those are the real treasures. A 1966 Lincoln penny that has been graded highly by a professional service, especially with a unique error or in uncirculated mint state condition, can turn an ordinary collector's day into an unforgettable one. And that brings us to the heart-pounding finale of this journey. Are you ready? Because one such 1966 Lincoln penny, due to its near-perfect condition and extremely rare characteristics, was once sold to a lucky collector for an eye-watering $82,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1-cent coin. Sold for $82,000. So the next time you come across a 1966 penny in your change or buried in an old coin jar, don't toss it aside. Take a closer look. You never know if you're holding a piece of history, or a small copper fortune. If you enjoyed this deep dive into rare coin history and want to explore more incredible finds like this, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another hidden treasure. Until next time, keep hunting, keep learning, and who knows? The next big discovery might be hiding right in your pocket. Top 2, we're diving into a truly fascinating piece of American coinage, one that might be sitting unnoticed in your pocket right now. It's the 1976 Lincoln penny, and while it may look like just another ordinary 1-cent coin, there's something about this specific year that sets it apart in a very big way. And now, I know what you're thinking. 1976 was America's bicentennial year. The country turned 200 years old. Most people remember the special quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coins minted with those iconic dual dates, 1776 to 1976. But what many don't realize is that the humble Lincoln penny, though it didn't get a commemorative design, has its own secret story, and for the lucky few, it could be worth a small fortune. Let's rewind to the mid-1970s. The U.S. Mint was working overtime to meet the high demand for coins. The economy was shifting, inflation was rising, and millions of Americans were collecting coins for the bicentennial celebration. But not all coins from that year were created equal. In the shadows of the shiny commemorative quarters and dollar coins, something very unusual happened with some of the Lincoln pennies minted in 1976. You see, while the design of the Lincoln penny remained the same, with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back, there were some very rare variations and minting errors that slipped past the mint's quality control. And those small mistakes? They ended up turning an ordinary coin into an extraordinary find. We're talking about errors like double dies, off-center strikes, coin struck on the wrong planchet, and even examples where the date or lettering is partially missing or misaligned. These kinds of minting mistakes are extremely rare, and when they happen during a year as significant as 1976, the value goes way up. But even without errors, some 1976 pennies have become valuable because of their condition alone. Most pennies go through decades of wear and tear. They get scratched, tarnished, and worn down until they're barely recognizable. But imagine finding a 1976 penny that has never been circulated, never been touched without gloves, and still looks as fresh as the day it was minted. Coins like that are graded by professional services and can achieve a mint state grade, known as MS in the coin world. The higher the number after MS, the better the condition, with MS 70 being perfect. Now here's where it gets even more exciting. Certain 1976 Lincoln pennies have been discovered in what experts call gem mint condition. These are the best of the best, flawless coins with perfect edges, no marks, no signs of circulation. Combine that with a rare error, and you have something truly remarkable on your hands. Collectors are always on the hunt for coins like these. Why? Because they represent the pinnacle of coin collecting, a rare piece from a historic year, in nearly perfect condition, and possibly with a one-of-a-kind minting mistake. That's the kind of coin that doesn't just sit in a collection, it becomes the centerpiece. Some 1976 Lincoln pennies were even struck on dime planchets by accident. That means the coin is smaller, lighter, and has a silvery color instead of copper. To the average person, it might look like a weird penny or even a factory mistake, but to a seasoned collector, it's a golden opportunity. Now let's talk numbers. How much could a coin like this actually be worth? Could a coin that originally cost just 1 cent really be worth more than a luxury car? Could it be hiding in an old jar, forgotten in a drawer, or mixed in with your spare change? The answer is yes, because one rare example of a 1976 Lincoln penny, in absolutely stunning condition and with extremely rare characteristics, was once sold to an eager collector for an astonishing $68,000. That's right. $68,000. For a single penny. So the next time you're sifting through your spare change or cleaning out an old piggy bank, don't just glance over the pennies, especially the ones from 1976. Take a closer look. You never know what kind of treasure you might be holding in your hand. Thanks for joining us on this coin hunting adventure. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare coins, valuable errors, and the stories that make them worth a fortune, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our next discovery. Top 3. We're talking about the United States Lincoln penny from 1974. A simple, copper-colored coin that might just be one of the rarest and most valuable pieces of pocket change ever created. If you've got an old coin jar or a forgotten collection hiding somewhere, now might be the perfect time to start digging through it, because the 1974 penny has a story that's going to blow your mind. Let's start by setting the scene. It's the early 1970s. Gas is cheap, disco is rising, Nixon is still in office, well, for a little while longer, and the US Mint is experimenting with something new. The price of copper is rising fast, and minting billions of pennies in pure copper is starting to get expensive. So in 1974, the government decides to try something bold, a new material for the humble penny. Now, this is where things get really interesting. Most 1974 pennies were struck in the traditional bronze composition, 95% copper and 5% zinc. But a small number of experimental coins were created using aluminum. the idea was to switch to a cheaper, lighter metal to save costs. So, in secret, the mint produced over 1 million aluminum pennies, preparing for what they thought would be the future of 1-cent coins, but there was a problem. The new aluminum pennies didn't work well in vending machines or coin counting machines, and doctors were concerned that if swallowed, aluminum coins wouldn't show up on X-rays. Eventually, the idea was scrapped, and the mint ordered all aluminum test coins to be destroyed except some of them weren't. A few of these experimental 1974 aluminum pennies somehow escaped destruction. They were never meant to be released, never meant to be in the public's hands. But they got out. And that's what makes them so incredibly rare and so incredibly valuable today. Now, beyond the aluminum version, even the regular 1974 copper pennies have become hot items in the world of coin collecting, especially if they feature unique characteristics. We're talking about coins with minting errors, like double dies, off-center strikes, or coins struck on the wrong planchet. These flaws, created during the high-speed minting process, can turn a simple coin into an ultra-rare collectible. Some of these error pennies feature ghost-like doubling in the letters or numbers. Others have odd weights or sizes. And then there are the ones with almost perfect, uncirculated condition coins that have never been touched by human hands, never jangled around in someone's pocket, and never scratched by other coins in a drawer. Now picture this. You find a 1974 Lincoln penny tucked away in an old coin album. It looks ordinary at first. But under the right light, you notice something strange. Maybe it's lighter than it should be, or the design looks slightly off. Maybe it shines a bit differently. Could it be one of those rare aluminum strikes? Or a one-of-a-kind minting error? That's the kind of moment collectors live for. That heart-racing feeling when you realize you might be holding a piece of history. A coin so rare, so unique, that there might only be a handful like it in the entire world. And now, the question that's been on your mind since the beginning: how much could a 1974 Lincoln penny like this actually be worth? Well, you might want to sit down for this, because one extraordinary example of the 1974 Lincoln penny, thanks to its flawless condition and extremely rare characteristics, once fetched a staggering $78,000. That's right. $78,000. For a coin that originally cost just 1 cent. So the next time you're sorting through some loose change or helping a grandparent clean out the attic, keep an eye out for that little copper coin stamped 1974. It might just change your life. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more amazing tales from the world of coin collecting. We've got plenty more mysteries to uncover, values to reveal, and hidden treasures to share with you. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy hunting, and keep your eyes on those pennies. Because one day, one of them might just be worth a fortune. Top 4. We're diving into a story that starts with a coin most people wouldn't even glance at, a small, ordinary-looking 1-cent piece. But this isn't just any penny. We're talking about the 1975 Lincoln penny, a coin so often overlooked, yet so full of mystery, history, and hidden value. Now before you reach for your wallet or start rummaging through your piggy bank, stay with me. Because what you're about to learn might change the way you look at pennies forever. This isn't just a story about a coin, it's a story about a secret hidden in plain sight, right on the surface of a copper coin that many people still carry around every day. Let's rewind the clock to 1975. It was a year of change and challenge. The Vietnam War had just ended, the United States was still recovering from the Watergate scandal, and Americans were dealing with inflation and a shaky economy. But through it all, life kept moving. And so did the presses at the U.S. Mint, striking millions of coins to keep the economy running. Among them, the Lincoln penny continued to hold its place in everyday American life. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the penny had become a staple of American currency. The design was iconic, Lincoln's bust on the front, and since 1959, the Lincoln Memorial on the back. In 1975, the U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. To most people, they were all the same, just another coin to toss into the change jar. But what most people didn't realize was that some of these 1975 pennies were hiding something unusual, something valuable. You see, not all pennies are created equal. While most are struck perfectly and pass through quality control without a hitch, a tiny fraction end up with subtle errors. And in the coin collecting world, those imperfections can mean everything. Some of these rare 1975 Lincoln cents were struck with what's known as a double die, an error where the image on the coin appears slightly doubled due to a mistake in the die alignment. The doubling might show up in the date, the lettering, or Lincoln's profile itself. To the untrained eye, it might just look like a shadow or blur. But to an experienced collector? That's the jackpot. Then there's another class of 1975 pennies that have become even more elusive, those struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a penny struck on a dime's metal blank. Or a coin that's thinner, lighter, or silver-toned instead of the usual copper color. These aren't factory rejects, they're rare minting anomalies that somehow slip through unnoticed, only to surface decades later as treasures among collectors. Even a standard 1975 penny can become incredibly valuable if it's found in what's called mint state condition. That means it shows no signs of wear, no scratches, and has the original luster it had the moment it left the mint. Now imagine combining that pristine condition with a rare error. That's when things really get interesting. Collectors pay thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars for rare coins, but when it comes to rare coins from popular denominations like the Lincoln penny, the competition becomes fierce. Everyone wants that 1 in a million coin that defied the odds. And when it comes from a year like 1975, with very few surviving error coins and almost no flawless specimens, the value skyrockets. So what should you look for? Start with the basics. Check the date. Is it crisp and clean? Look closely at the lettering, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. Does anything look off? Is there any doubling? Weigh the coin if you can. If it's lighter than normal or has a strange color, you might be holding something rare, because yes, they're out there. People have found rare pennies in old coffee cans, under couch cushions, in parking lots, and tucked away in drawers for decades. One person's pocket change could be another person's treasure chest, and now, the part you've been waiting for. You've heard the stories. You've followed the clues. But what is one of these 1975 Lincoln pennies actually worth? One extremely rare example of the 1975 Lincoln penny, due to its exceptional condition and rare minting anomaly, once sold for an unbelievable $73,000. That's right. $73,000. For a penny. So before you toss your next handful of coins into a vending machine or Coinstar, take a moment. That 1-cent piece in your hand could be more than just loose change, it could be a ticket to a small fortune. If this kind of treasure hunting excites you, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We've got plenty more incredible coin stories, values, and discoveries just waiting to be shared. Top 5. We're going to take a deep dive into a seemingly ordinary coin that many people overlook every day, the 1980 Lincoln penny. And now, you may have seen hundreds, maybe even thousands, of pennies from 1980 over the years. They pass through hands, drop between couch cushions, and get tossed into tip jars. But here's the thing, not every 1980 penny is created equal. In fact, there's one version of this coin that's so rare, so unique, and so valuable, it could completely change the way you look at pocket change forever. So don't blink, because by the end of this video, you'll find out how one of these copper-colored coins went from being worth a single cent to something worth tens of thousands of dollars. Let's roll back the calendar to 1980. It was a year of cultural shift and economic change. Ronald Reagan was on his way to the presidency, the U.S. economy was battling inflation, and Americans were stepping into a new decade with both hope and uncertainty. Through it all, life carried on, and the U.S. Mint was busy producing billions of coins for daily commerce. One of the most commonly produced coins that year? The Lincoln penny. Now, the 1980 Lincoln penny followed the classic design many of us know so well. On the front, a proud and dignified profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design first introduced in 1909 to honor his 100th birthday. On the reverse side, the majestic Lincoln Memorial stood tall, a symbol of unity and legacy. At first glance, it looked just like the pennies minted in the years before and after, but hidden among the billions struck that year were a very small number of coins that ended up being completely different. And it's those coins, the outliers, that are now turning heads in the collector world. Let's start with the basics. The majority of 1980 pennies were minted in Philadelphia and Denver. If you look closely, you'll see a little D-mint mark just below the year if it was made in Denver. But in 1980, Philadelphia began adding its mint mark, P, to some of its coins for the first time in history. Except, not on the penny. That didn't happen until 2017. So if you ever find a 1980 penny with a visible P mint mark, you've likely stumbled onto a fake or, in an extremely rare case, a minting anomaly that could be worth investigating. Now here's where things get fascinating. During this high production era, the likelihood of minting errors quietly increased. With billions of coins being produced, a few mistakes were bound to slip through unnoticed. And to a coin collector, a mistake isn't a flaw, it's a treasure. Some rare 1980 Lincoln pennies have been found with off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because it was stamped incorrectly. Others have doubling, where letters or numbers appear to be shadowed or layered. These double die errors are especially rare and highly prized. A few were even struck on the wrong planchet altogether, meaning the coin was printed on a metal blank meant for another denomination, like a dime or a foreign coin. Just imagine holding a penny that weighs slightly less than usual, or shines with a silver tint instead of that classic copper glow. At first, it might seem like a trick of the light, but in reality, it could be one of the most valuable coins in your entire collection. Of course, even without an error, a coin can become incredibly valuable based on one thing: condition. A coin from 1980 that has never been touched, never circulated, never scratched or damaged in any way, that kind of coin can reach what's known as a mint state grade. The higher the grade, the closer to perfect it is. And perfection in the coin world always comes with a premium price. So, imagine this scenario. You're sorting through your change, maybe just out of boredom, and you come across a 1980 penny. Something about it feels different. Maybe it shines more brightly. Maybe the strike looks slightly off. Maybe it's perfectly crisp, with no wear and tear at all. What you could be looking at is not just a coin, it could be a rare collectible that only a handful of people in the world possess. And now, for the part you've all been waiting for. What could one of these rare 1980 Lincoln pennies actually be worth? Well, one verified example, thanks to its flawless condition and a rare minting error, once sold to an eager collector for an incredible $62,000. That's right. $62,000. For a single penny. So the next time you're handed change at the grocery store or stumble across a coin hiding under the couch, don't just toss it aside. Flip it over. Look closer. You never know when an everyday coin might turn out to be an extraordinary find. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more incredible stories about rare coins and the fortunes they hold, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a discovery. Until next time, keep your eyes on the coins, because treasure doesn't always come in gold. Sometimes, it comes in copper. Happy collecting!